Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names of kicking candy ass. Lively Color here with you on Grande's Graveyard. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have a 10-round heavyweight bout. And it's an all-time great matchup. It is one that is perhaps too close to call, and it's one that I've been looking forward to ever since I got the idea of doing versus episodes. Of course, back when I did Universal Soldier versus Demolition Man, that was the first versus episode, and then we did original versus remake, Willard from 1971 versus Willard from 2003, and now this is the very third edition of the versus episode series, and we will be getting into perhaps our closest matchup yet, where Ridley Scott's film from 1979, Alien, will be taking on John Carpenter's film from 1982, John Carpenter's The Thing. Yes, Alien versus The Thing tonight on Grande's Graveyard. Who will be left and what will be left of them? Yes, we have 10 categories here to go through. And of course, we've got the split screen going up here. Of course, Alien versus The Thing. We're all ready, willing, and able. So we're going to get underway. Like I said, 10 categories. We're going to go category by category and talk this out because personally, the last two times I did these shows, I had a winner before I started the show. Tonight's not the case. In my opinion, this is as close to a tie as it gets. It could end in a draw. But my plan is to talk it out with everyone here, talk it out with y'all, and just maybe by the end of 10 rounds, we will come up with a decision. What is the superior film, Alien or The Thing? So tonight, I'm super excited to be discussing all things Alien versus The Thing. We've got a bunch of people in the chat. Grande playing with The Thing again. Yeah, sure. My thing again. Sure, Mr. Zitro. Welcome, my friend. Mateo's here. Ciao, Grande. Wow, what a tough one today. I don't think it gets any tougher than this. Now, funny thing, though, I put up a poll on YouTube and Instagram, and on both, The Thing was the clear-cut winner. On Instagram, I believe it was 41 for Alien, 59 for The Thing, and on YouTube, it was way more in favor of The Thing. I think it was 71% people said The Thing, 29 Alien. I think it's closer than that. I'll say that right off the bat, but we're going to see which one I like better. We're gonna talk this out. In space, no one can hear you scream, and man is the warmest place to hide. Yes, Slasher Fred is in the house. A little bit of both. Maybe you're conflicted as well. I don't know which one you guys are picking individually, of course. I think I know this guy, though. Aiden Vavra, I believe I know where he's coming from, of course. The Thing is a personal favorite film, but so are a lot of Carpenter films, to be fair. Well, I'll say this right off the bat. I think it's Carpenter's best film, The Thing, but I would dare to say that Alien is Ridley Scott's best film. I think you have two world-class, renowned, respected directors and both their best film going at it head to head and just made 3 years apart. Of course, both having somewhat of a similar structure. I know some people will debate that until the cows run home, but I mean, they are in some ways similar films. But again, that's not to say that they are a carbon copy of each other or films that ripped each other off, anything like that. This is just really heavyweight versus heavyweight. At least that's how I kind of see it. So we're going to get underway. Like I said, we got 10 rounds to discuss, and hopefully, like I said, along in the chat, you guys can chime in on what you guys would give each category a point in. All right. So we have 10 categories, and I can actually show them to you here. We'll keep you in suspense. Of course, we're going to start one sheet versus one sheet. We're going to move down to lead versus lead, cast versus cast. We got to mute the old phone here. Sorry, my phone just went off. I usually always mute my phone. We have score versus score. Of course, Jerry Goldsmith versus Ennio Morricone. Design versus design. Geiger versus Bottin, cinematographer versus cinematographer, makeup effects versus makeup effects. We've got director versus director, Scott and Carpenter, horror versus horror. Of course, these are two horror movies. And finally, ending versus ending. Yes, 10 categories, zero regrets tonight on Grande's Graveyard. So I wanted to say cheers to everybody in the chat, and we're going to get right underway. I completely agree, Grande, that this is the finest hour for both filmmakers. Yeah, it's quite something. And, you know, I don't like doing these unless they are this close, right? Because, like, if I'm biased one way or the other, it can really just kind of damper the show. Like I know at one point I mentioned, what if I did Addams Family versus the Munsters? That would be cool, but like I think for most of the categories, I would say I like Addams Family better. That's just me. So I don't know if it'd be worth doing a show over because I'm more favorable for the other. This particular duo, this particular matchup, I really like. I sat for a few hours on both. I rewatched both, thought about both, deep thought. I even went onto YouTube and watched reviews for each movie to try to see if somebody could sway me one way or the other, and it hasn't happened. So right now, as we start this show, I can't tell you which one of the two I like better. I'm hoping to talk it out, and maybe just maybe I'll come to a conclusion by the end of the show. Hell, it could end in a draw. We don't know. But we also have a couple more people in the chat. Marin Z Movie Mansion, good brother from Insta. Hey, what's up, Grande? Thought I'd drop by on the graveyard to witness this epic battle. Hey, man, it's a heavyweight battle of epic proportions. I'm happy you could join. And congrats on 1,000 followers on Instagram. I saw you posted that, man. Cheers to you. Addams Family is easily better than the Monsters. I agree. That's why it's not really worth it doing a show on that. But let's get underway, everyone. The heavyweight bout is upon us. Round one. And I'm just a mark like this. I kind of always have to do this. And I know some people will say that's not even a category. It shouldn't be. But to me, it is. It is one sheet poster versus one sheet poster. Of course, if you know me, I'm a big one sheet poster guy. I've got two right above me. I've got some around the room in my bedroom. I'm a big horror movie one sheet poster guy. And I figure that would be a fun way, kind of a smaller category to kick this heavyweight battle off. And of course, on the left, we have Alien. On the right, we have Thing. Both of these are fantastic. And of course, the first thing that kind of stands out to me, of course, is the primary color used on both. I mean, Alien goes green. The Thing goes with that kind of crystal icy blue, which fits that film oh so well. And then green being kind of the skin color of the xenomorph alien in Alien. And I think this is rather close, to be honest. And I like both posters quite a bit. But for me, this one I'm going to lead towards Alien. I like the tagline to Alien slightly better. I think the Thing, the ultimate in alien terror, I think that's fine. It's an okay tagline, but the amazing epic tagline of Alien: in space, no one can hear you scream. And this the cracked egg of what are the possibilities? What could be in there? To me, it's just such a fucking awesome poster, and it kind of opens up many possibilities to what the hell is just beneath the surface of that egg. And then vice versa with the Thing, right? We don't necessarily see Kurt Russell on the poster. We don't see the Thing itself on the poster. It's just someone in a snowsuit and the light shining bright. What are the possibilities? Who is behind that hood? And that kind of plays out throughout the whole film, the whole kind of who is infected, who is not infected. And that's why we love the Thing. I think that's the Thing is awesome. But I got to say, for one sheet versus the one sheet, we're going to go with Alien. I think Alien's poster is slightly better, and that's why I'm going with it. So Alien comes out to the early lead as the winner of round one. It is 1-0 Alien. Let's see what people said in the comments. Alien poster for me. I would agree. So tough already. Yeah, it is, man. It's funny. I think it's a category where a lot of people wouldn't even think to have this on here. But I'm a big poster collector, so to me, it's which poster sold its film better, right? Like which like if you're in the cinema and you see these two posters, which one are you automatically drawn to? For me, it's Alien. I don't know why. Maybe it is the color scheme. Maybe it's the tagline. I don't know. But I personally, if I was around at the time of both these movies' releases, I think Alien would have been the one to, kind of catch my attention a slight bit more. And it's funny, Alien made quite a lot more money than the Thing. When you're looking at marketing, I don't have marketing or box office as a category because that's not as much subjective as it would be factual, right? Alien made over $100 million against an $11 million budget. The Thing, on the other hand, had a $15 million budget and made about 19 and a half. So Alien was easily the more profitable, bigger hit, more seen. I would say for every one person to see the Thing, I would say two have seen Alien. Alien is definitely the more seen, talked about, revered of the two, I would imagine. And I'll be honest with you, to get that conclusion, I asked people at my workplace. And I said, Alien or the Thing, just flat out. And a lot of them said, I don't barely remember the Thing. I remember Alien. Everyone could tell me spot for spot or where they were when they went to go see Alien or the first time they saw the chest burster scene. The Thing, not as much. So interesting. For us horror fans, we know this shit. we live, breathe, eat, and sleep this shit. But for the average everyday Joe Blow by the water cooler, Alien was the one that kind of made more of an impact. So I figured, something to be worth mentioning here. Alien, for me, I like the green. I would agree with that as well. If you've ever seen John Carpenter's first film, Dark Star, that movie was the inspiration for Alien. And funny enough, the same writer, Dan O'Bannon, would go on 5 years later to write for the screen for Alien. Crazy enough. So Dark Star is more of a space comedy. And then Alien, it's like, wait a minute, what if I made this into a horror script? Dan O'Bannon 5 years later writes Alien and makes the all-time great movie that we all know and love. So crazy enough. The Thing, I love the color blue and John Carpenter's name above the title. Okay, so we have one person that voted for the Thing poster. Alien, but both posters are extremely nostalgic. I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. John Carpenter's films never did well at the box office, especially in the 90s. Yeah, no, almost a lot of the movies he made, aside from Halloween, were bombs. I like Dark Star, especially for that beach ball. Dark Star is one I never could quite get into. That's one that, not even me, I couldn't really get into that one. But Alien, I think, was a quite big improvement for Mr. Dan O'Bannon. So Alien out to the 1-0 lead. And speaking of lead, we have lead versus lead. Yes, on the top, Miss Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley. On the bottom, none other than Captain Kurt Russell as R.J. fucking Macready. Now, this one, again, is very close. And it's hard to even pick which one of these two I'd want to start with first. But, I guess we start with Captain Kurt, right? Kurt Russell was, of course, longtime friend and collaborator with John Carpenter. They started their friendship and collaboration on the biopic television picture of Elvis. And Kurt Russell, in my opinion, gave his best performance of all time in that movie. I just love Kurt Russell in Elvis. I think he's wonderful in that movie. And then, of course, fast forward to Escape from New York, Snake Plissken, the ultimate vigilante / anti-hero. Just love Snake Plissken, arguably the coolest character John Carpenter ever, kind of wrote. And then we have R.J. Macready, who's ultimate babyface, but badass babyface. And I just love some of the stuff Macready says in this film and the performance from Kurt Russell especially. I think he's a great lead because he's one of those people, he doesn't have to raise his voice a lot, but in a lot of ways, we kind of are garnered to his attention. He grabs your attention right off the bat. It's like, wow, like this guy is in charge. And you of course, have the fun scene with him playing chess with the computer. And I think you lost a step or two. And of course, the computer beats him. Fucking bitch, And there's a lot of great R.J. Macready scenes. Of course, the blood testing scene, which is arguably the best scene in the entire film, where he's explaining when a man bleeds, we burn it, nothing will happen. But one of you things, your blood will resist, it will react. And now we're going to figure this out. And I love just the presence he gives this picture. And that being the true outstanding lead of this crew is quite something. I really like some of the scenes towards the end of the film where they're asking him for direction. What do we do? What do we do? That thing, it just wants to freeze up in the ice, go to sleep, and wait for the rescue team to find it. What will we do? Let's warm things up around here. We're not going to make it out alive. And I like that. I think it's quite morbid, but it's quite real and true. We're not going to get out of this fucking situation alive. We're done, man. We are fucking done. But let's make sure that if we're going down, we're taking the thing down with us, motherfucker. And that's R.J. Macready. I really love Macready. And again, some of the scenes where they assume he might be the thing, and you touch me, I'll blow us all up. I'll blow us all to fucking hell. Really, great stuff. Kurt Russell's performance is tremendous in this film. But then on the other hand, you have Ellen Ripley, who after this film, it's really, I would say after this film, she became more of the feminist, female, badass icon in Aliens, and in even Alien 3, which I don't like as much. But she, in those films, kind of became the female Rambo. Here, the thing I love about Alien is you don't know who the lead is really until close to the end of the second act, I would say, because we're introduced to all of these characters sitting around the table, and I'll talk about all of them when we get into cast versus cast, but it's very hard to kind of gauge who the lead is here, all right? Like the first time I saw Alien personally, I thought Tom Skerritt was going to be the lead because he was Captain Dallas. Captain, okay, Captain equals lead, does it not? No, not necessarily in this film because he's like the third to go, Captain Dallas. And then all of a sudden, Ripley's kind of calling the shots. And at the end, she does her final girl battle with the xenomorph. I like that. First of all, I like that misdirection, but I also love Ripley's character. She's strong from beginning to end. And I love one of my favorite things about her character is the scene where they're trying to bring John Hurt back in after getting face hugged by the face hugger. And she says, listen, we can't bring him back in. I'm sorry, but that will break all ship quarantine. We can't do this. I'm in command. I'm in charge when you two are off the ship, and what I say goes. And of course, everybody resists against her. And even Captain Dallas, of course, Veronica Cartwright, Lambert, they're all Ian Holm, they're all kind of against her wanting to quarantine him out. And she even says, listen, if you were in my position, you would be doing this too. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not trying to be against anybody. I'm just trying to look out for the whole crew. That's my job when I'm in this position. And that's why I love Ellen Ripley. I think Ellen Ripley is an excellent written character. And then, of course, as this thing plays out, she becomes more and more capable. She's afraid of this thing, but she's smart too, and she outsmarts it at the end and kind of defeats it. I think this is really close. I mean, it's really, you could make an argument for either. And of course, I know a lot of people, they always go, oh, feminist, final girl, female icon. Let's be honest. I mean, as great as I love Ripley, I don't think she really was the first final girl, right? I mean, we had Jamie Lee the year prior to this in Halloween. We even had an Olivia Hussey and a Marilyn Burns in 1974, and Black Christmas and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, respectively. Final girl tropes went on and on and on. Every Friday the 13th film, any Nightmare on Elm Street film, the final girl kind of trope plays out onward. And I know a lot of people have said, oh, Ripley, one of the first strong female leads. I get it. And she was, and she does kick ass. But that, I wouldn't say she necessarily pioneered it. I think she was one important part of an overall gigantic puzzle when it came to kick ass strong final girl female leads in horror cinema and just cinema in years to come after this. So it's really close. I mean, it is really close. But for me, I'm going with Captain Kurt. RJ Macready, Kurt Russell gets the point, and the thing has evened things up here. We are tied at 1-1. Hell yeah. Let's check out the chat now. Let's see. Ripley for half shirt and panties. Yeah, no, absolutely. So AJ's got 2-0 on Alien, which is interesting because I believe in the poll he voted for the thing. So I don't know. The thing better start picking up its tracks. Do I have to answer this question? See, that's the fun. It's really hard, right? You would never think to compare these two characters, two leads, two badass leads, two wonderful actors that went on to do great roles. I mean, this movie made Sigourney Weaver's career. Kurt Russell had done great stuff before this. He did great stuff after this, but arguably as a protagonist, this might be my favorite Kurt Russell performance as a protagonist. I love him in this movie, and I think his leadership is really the main thing I point at. I love his leadership in this. It's a very good performance. I love both their performances, but I'm going to lean Captain Macready here. Kurt also worked with Disney, of course. He worked with Elvis in movies when he was a child. Snake, come on. What about Desolation Williams with Ghosts of Mars? Oh God, no. Let's not bring up Ghosts of Mars. We named our dog Ellen Ripley after the character, so guess I'm going Alien again. Oh, hell yeah. And I think you had Thing too. So this is very interesting. So two people who I believe voted for the Thing so far went Alien. So I'm an Alien and Thing. So far, bam, we're tied, but this is getting fun. Have you ever watched the classic show Lost in Space? The show starred Veronica Cartwright's sister, Angela. Very cool. We got the porn bots are here. Sorry, please ignore them. Oh, hell no. Now Triple X. Well, unfortunate. I don't know who's moderators around here, but just ignore it. They'll go away. Both films open in outer space. Yes, and they're fairly similar, right? RJ, and I love his final line at the end. Maybe we shouldn't. I will get to ending versus ending, but I love it as well. I love the fact that John Carpenter always did one-off films and only made a sequel once with Escape from L.A., of course. I think the character of Dorothy Gale from Wizard of Oz may have inspired girl trope because she is able to confront the villain. Yeah, no, it's funny. It's like a lot of people will point and be like, oh, Ripley, that's one of the big first female, and maybe she was one of the first and one of the most important. I get it, but I don't know if I'd say pioneer. I don't know if she was the pioneer. Maybe one of the pioneers, but I don't know if there even a the pioneer with female leads in horror films. I don't know. I guess people would probably point to Jamie Lee being the ultimate scream queen, but I don't know. But next up we have cast versus cast. Yes, who had the better cast? of characters, right? And I can list them off right here. Of course, for Alien, Sigourney Weaver as the lead, Tom Skerritt as Dallas, John Hurt as Kane, Ian Holm as Ash, Harry Dean Stanton, may he rest in peace. Another, it's funny enough, he worked with John Carpenter just the year before this in Escape from New York, and Kurt Russell as Brett, Tom Skerritt as Dallas, Yaphet Kotto as Parker. I mean, this cast is tremendous. It's a small cast, right? It's 7 people. But I love that they're all blue collar. That's the thing I think Alien gets right more so than a lot of its imitators and movies that ripped it off, is the fact that these 7 people are as blue collar American pie as it gets. I love that in the beginning, they're all just sitting around after waking up in those sleeping chambers and they're just talking about life, right? Yaphet Kotto's bitching, I want more than just a half a share. I want a full share, God damn it. Me and Brett, we deserve that. Me and Harry Dean Stanton. Harry Dean Stanton is like his right-hand man, and he always says, right, you know. Well, he could say anything, and you would say right, wouldn't you? Right. You know, like Harry Dean Stanton is great. He and Yaphet Kotto are good buddies in this. But I like how they kind of go around the table and they discuss just everyday life stuff. The avocado's talking about eating pussy, and they're all kind of going around the table talking about foods they like and how they feel and what they're going to do when they get back home, how much they're looking forward to it. I adore the fucking blue collar nature of all of them. These are just everyday people in the fucking office. They may just be on a spaceship in this particular film, but these are people that we've encountered in our lifetimes. These are people we've talked with around the water cooler about sports, about life, about relationships, about whatever the fuck it is. That's why I think this cast works, and all of them don't have any of that kind of scientific techno talk. It's really just real people doing a job in space. And I quite liked that. It kind of brought them all down to earth for me, even though they were in outer space. And like I said, I mean, John Hurt, it's one of the most famous roles for him, and that guy did so many great things. Yaphet Kotto, to me, it was the movie that introduced me to him. I always remember him being in The Running Man, and even in one of the bad Nightmare on Elm Street sequels, Freddy's Dead, I believe. I always loved Yaphet Kotto. I thought the guy was just tremendous. A really, really great actor. Harry Dean Stanton, how many great performances was he in as well? And a lot of these guys, it's sad they're gone, right? I mean, John Hurt's gone, Yaphet Kotto's gone, Harry Dean Stanton's gone. A lot of them are gone, which is quite sad. When I rewatch this movie, you know, it's like they pan around the table. They're gone. That one's gone. Oh shit, that one's gone. It's quite sad, you know. When I went back and I rewatched Alien this past Tuesday night, as they go around the table, as much as I like the cast, I think it's a very, you know, it's sad to kind of see that they've all kind of, a lot of them at least have passed on. But then we look here at The Thing, right? The Thing's cast. I mean, all male cast. So for any of my female lovers, there's no physical female being in The Thing. So if you want some females in your cast, this is not the movie for you. This is an all male cast. But if you're going to have an all-male cast, you might as well have one as good as this. Kurt Russell's Macready, Wilford Brimley as Blair, Keith David in his very first professional movie role as Childs, T.K. Carter as Knowles, of course, David Clennon as Palmer, Richard Mazur as Clark. I mean, the list goes on and on. Donald Maffei as Gary, Thomas G. Waits as Windows. It really goes on and on. I mean, this cast is also quite something special. And I really like, again, they have wonderful chemistry. I think all of them, you know, just whatever be the conversations in the rec room and the conversations when each one is kind of asking the other if they're the thing through a series of sideways questions. And that's a big thing. It's the paranoia and fear and lack of trust that these people who we were introduced to having trust. Now as this thing kind of plays out, less and less trust is there between these characters that just a half hour ago trusted everything about each other. And I think it's a quite a good cast. But for me, I'm gonna have to say slam dunk Alien here. I like Alien's cast better. I don't know if I think it's the blue collar nature. Maybe it's the fact that they had a lot less to characters wise. Like you only had 7 people on the ship, and one of them turns out to be an android. With The Thing, there's a lot more. There's a lot more crew members, right? So there's a couple of them that you really don't get to learn much about. But at the same, like T.K. Carter, we don't really learn much about him. We don't really learn much about Peter Maloney as George Bennings. Like you don't really learn that much about some of them. But at the same time, like they're all memorable, right? Like Richard Mazur as Clark. everyone, Clark's got to be one of the things. He's acting the most suspicious, and it turns out he wasn't. Of course, Wilford Brimley breaking the fucking radio station as Blair. Great stuff. Windows. We're 1,000 miles away from nowhere. I mean, he's great in this, but I'm going to have to go with the alien on this. I like the cast of Alien better. I just think for some reason that this was a really good cast of characters, and I like that whole blue collar nature, and all of these people I think did a really good job. So I'm going to go point Alien for me. Let's get back to the chat though. Let's see what people say about this one. 100% for The Thing. So all right, AJ's finally giving a point to The Thing. Maybe we are at war with Norway. The Thing, 100%. Okay, 2 for The Thing. The original Thing from 1951, there was a female character. Yes, and people will probably correct. I don't know if people have in the chat already, but Adrienne Barbeau's voice can be heard because, of course, she was married to John Carpenter around this time, or just got married to him around this time. She was, of course, in The Fog as Stevie Wayne, and, of course, Escape from New York, Adrienne Barbeau. And same year she did Creepshow, cool enough. Henry, you're no good and bad. I mean, she's fucking great. I love Adrienne Barbeau, but you can hear her voice in this, but although she's not physically there. So it's all male cast physically, but we do hear female voice for what it's worth. For the cast category, for me, it's a tie. Sophie's Choice shit. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of these you could say tie. You could easily say tie for this. You really could. I think I just personally like the cast and characters maybe slightly better in Alien. Maybe that's why I lean Alien. And the fact that I would say that they're definitely like a lot of them went on to do stuff, like more stuff. Like I'll be honest, I haven't seen Windows in a lot of other movies, right? I haven't seen like I said, Knowles in a lot of other movies. Keith David went on to be a bigger star, and this was his first leading role. So, I mean, he does a great job. Wilford Brimley, infamous. And, it's definitely, it's one of those movies where, or categories where I could see you going either way. But for me, I'll lean Alien. Yavocado was also in Crime Drama Series Homicide, Life on the Street. And I love him, man. Yavocado is one of the big reasons that Alien is a great movie to me. Like, I just think that guy really got it. Like, I always love the scene where Veronica Cartwright, she's kind of trying to fix something, and he goes out of his way to try to stop the xenomorph from killing her. And in his last moment of life, what he was trying to do was save her. I thought that was really cool. I really like Yaficado's character of Parker in this. I think he did a really good job. And I've seen a lot of interviews with him talking about that performance, that movie, and he seemed to be really proud of it. And I don't know, I always really like Yapicado, or whether it be in stuff like even before this blaxploitation film Bone, which I always really liked. I think Yapicado was a tremendous talent. That's somebody I would have really liked to meet at a convention had he still been alive. Rest in peace, Yapicado. Alien and TCM 74 are the 2 horror films and films in general that made me sad knowing that most of the crew are gone. And yeah, no, crazy enough, TCM was a big influencer of Alien. Ridley Scott said that. He said he watched 2001: A Space Odyssey, he watched Star Wars, and then he watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And he said, I need to get the look of those first 2 films and then the horror of that last film, mix them together, and you get Alien. And I dare I say it, I think he hit a home run. I mean, that's exactly kind of sounds like a result. If those 3 things met, had a baby, Alien might be the birth of that, the face hugger, chest bursting, birth. Magnum Mac's in the house. Salute chat and panel. Salute my friend. Welcome, Mac. Alien. I don't know if that's a vote for Alien or just this category, but yeah, we're gonna go category by category. Blair throwing the gun at the wall always makes me laugh. Oh, absolutely, man. He's fucking. I love Blair. In the original Gremlins, the part where the Mogwai replicas starting out adorable but change into horrible creatures is very similar to Alien. That's a good point. Absolutely. Gonna go Alien. Just felt much more attached to each character, maybe because they were stuck tightly niched. I would agree. I would say that too. I felt more connected to the characters as well. And maybe, like I said, maybe it's because there's less of them, so you can develop more from each one. Whereas opposed to The Thing, there's a couple people where I'm like, oh, I forget that guy's name as many times as I've seen it, But again, the characters I do remember, I love them. You can't ever forget, I would appreciate if I didn't have to spend the rest of the winter tied to this fucking couch, like you remember all the stuff they say in that film too. Don't get me wrong. I heard John Carpenter convinced his wife to be in Creepshow because he was friends with Romero. That's true. That is absolutely true. I just cannot believe any of this voodoo bullshit. Yep, Keith David, baby. Blair, you buy any of this? Never put 2 and 2 together with the Cartwright sisters. I see it now. Crazy. I actually never put 2 and 2 together like that either. That's crazy. The Thing and TCM 74 go back and forth for my all-time favorite film. Well, you can't go wrong with either one of those. But let's move on to our next category. Category Number 4, it's score versus score. Yes, Jerry Goldsmith versus Ennio Morricone. And man, I mean, this is a fucking really hard category too, because it's like these two guys are two of the best ever, right? Like, I'm gonna pull up both their filmographies, and granted, you can go all day with the amount of movies that these guys did. Jerry Goldsmith has done almost 300 things, and Ennio Morricone, may he rest in peace, around the same number. I mean, it is absolutely incredible how many wonderful scores over the years that these two men made. And it's interesting for me, number one, right off the bat, that Carpenter didn't go with his own score here. I thought it was quite interesting because you look at Carpenter years leading up to this, right? Go from Assault from Precinct 13 to this movie. You have Assault on Precinct 13, which is an amazing score. Amazing. John Carpenter's Halloween. Maybe I've heard that one before. Amazing, right? Escape from New York. What in the hell made him go away from his own music to pick Morricone here? It's really a question that I would ask John Carpenter. Like, I want to know why he went away from his own music and went with Morricone. Did he do it because this was more of a studio picture? Did he do it because he figured all of my time and attention is going to have to be on directing this movie to make it turn out the way I want it to be? Therefore, I don't have the time to write my own score? I don't know, just a question, because we all know how great John Carpenter was when it came to conducting musical scores. And instead, he goes into the bag and pulls out Ennio Morricone, who just fucking hit a home run almost as far as anyone could have did, because let's face it, Morricone's arguably the best musical composer of all time. And I love the score of the thing. I mean, it's amazing. Boom, 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 boom. Amazing. I mean, it's just a tremendous score that Morricone made. And I looked this up because I was curious. I said, did these two ever work together again? The answer is no. Morricone and Carpenter never worked with each other again. Very interesting. It's just something I had to I picked my brain about. I was like, why the hell did he go away from himself? But with that being said, Morricone hits a home run. Jerry Goldsmith, on the other hand, I mean, I love Jerry Goldsmith. So many wonderful movies that he did. Of course, the Star Trek movie, LA Confidential, just so many great, credits and things like that to his name. I mean, the guy was just amazing. He touched so many great, musical scores over the years. And I got it up here. I had a list. I wanted to make sure I mentioned, some of these. Chinatown. Let's see. Star Trek: The Motion Picture, even though he was uncredited there. Let's see. Psycho 2, Twilight Zone the movie, Gremlins, Rambo, fucking just so many great, Lionheart, so many great movies that Jerry Goldsmith was a part of. And I think the guy just did, again, another just wonderful career. But for me, I'm going to have to go Ennio Morricone as a slam dunk. I think this is an easy one for me. Granted, like I said, while I like the scores in both, and while I think Aliens is much more of a somber, slow burn score, and it fits this movie particularly well, I think it's the energy of Morricone's score and the bum bum bum. It adds to the movie. Like when Kurt Russell, it's time we warm things up around here. Then he just bam, enter that score, bum bum bum. Just raising the tension, raising the stakes. Really good stuff from Morricone here. I'm going to say slam dunk Morricone. So Morricone gets the point. The Thing and Alien are deadlocked on my list right now at 2 apiece. Hell yeah. So let's see what you guys say in the chat. May have to go with Ennio on this one, LMAO. I would go with Ennio on this one as well. The Thing, very haunting, ominous music. The Thing, 100%. I love the heartbeat theme of The Thing, and it's Ennio attempting a Carpenter score. Exactly. It really is. I'll be honest, the first time I watched this movie, The Thing, I thought it was a Carpenter score. I wasn't paying attention, I guess, and didn't realize it was Morricone. And upon repeat, I was like, holy shit, he got Morricone to do this. Very interesting, And it's quite interesting. Like Morricone did the very first ever Argento movie. He scores The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, but then Argento finds, Claudio Simonetti. He finds Goblin. He finds all of these wonderful other musicians to kind of make his films feel like Argento films. Morricone didn't really go into this and do his own thing. It does feel like he's trying to be John Carpenter. Because, like I said, all those movies, Assault on Precinct 13, Halloween, Escape from New York, The Fog, all those movies, their scores are similar. They're just a couple beats here and there, but it's the way he plays them. Like Immigrant Song is the big influence behind Assault on Precinct 13. If you listen to Immigrant, you listen to Assault on Precinct 13, he just slowed it down a little bit, draw out the lines a little bit, and bam, you rip off a little Led Zeppelin and you make one of the all-time great musical scores. Interesting, but that's how Carpenter did it, and man, he did it well. He did it arguably better than anybody at this time, which is why I would love to ask John Carpenter, why'd you go Morricone? But granted, he could easily say, why not? It's Morricone, right? That'd probably be his answer. I'm not a big fan of the thing, but Ennio Morricone is my favorite composer of all time. I would have to probably agree with you. I think Morricone is one of the best. Both films are very Hitchcockian because you have the camera POV shot in both films. You have the characters who are unaware that there is a bomb in their midst. Yeah, exactly. They are similar in some ways. Ennio Morricone is an absolute genius. May he rest in peace. Absolutely, may he rest in peace. And I think this point definitely goes to him in the score for his film. I can answer that question. Carpenter did it because it was a studio film. He wanted to work with a freaking legend in Ennio. That's awesome. That's a great answer. I hope that was the real one. All Carpenter movies have the best scores. I have the Alien soundtrack on vinyl, actually, but I'm going The Thing for this round. Hell yeah, me too. I'm going. I don't think a single person said Alien for this. And it's funny. I will say this though, and I in my research, I never realized Jerry Goldsmith is actually not happy with how 100% of the score turned out, because he said the studio meddled a little bit with it, and it's not 100% the finished product of the score he wanted for the film. So Jerry Goldsmith has actually gone on in interviews and said that even though he likes most of the work he did for this film, there's a couple of scenes and instances where he says that they toyed with his finished product. And if that's the case, then it's not perfect. And if you're not perfect, you ain't beating Morricone. So Morricone gets the point for me. Jerry Goldsmith always, of course. Yeah, there's literally, like, I pulled up his list. There's 300 credits for Jerry Goldsmith. That's how I always kind of remember for Rambo, for First Blood. I always loved his score of that. For me, the soundtrack of The Untouchables is such a ripoff of the Thing soundtrack. They're so similar. Yeah, that's a good. I didn't even think of that. That's very true. That's why I love the Zepp. Absolutely. And Ennio did the music for The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, of course, and that's one of his most famous. I mean, amazing stuff. You gotta love Ennio Morricone. For me, he gets the point here. We are deadlocked at 2-2 after 4. Now, though, we get to arguably our hardest category thus far. It is design versus design. H.R. Giger taking on Rob fucking Bottin. Holy shit. If this is not the closest fucking battle here between these two, I don't know what is. This has got to be the hardest category so far. Because look at both of these guys on paper, right? Rob Bottin at the time was 22 years old. 22 years old, and he gets tasked with not just the design artistically, but of course he was also helping the makeup effects, of course, behind the scenes. But he is credited as art designer. Both of them are credited as art designer. So it's really art designer versus art designer, but design versus design for short. Amazing. I mean, Rob Bottin, 22 years old and cutting edge of the industry, where guys like Savini had started on the scene in Dawn of the Dead and Friday the 13th and Maniac and The Burning and all of these movies that Savini worked on. And the Savini up-and-comers would come. Of course, this is just before Kevin Yeager broke into the business. But Rob Bottin, man, of course, what's his name, who did fucking American Werewolf in London? Why can I not think of his damn name? Rick Baker. Rick Baker, of course, was along the scene at this point. Rick Baker, one of the greats of all time. Rob Bottin at 22 years old, that's 3 years younger than me, comes in and makes arguably the greatest film special effects-wise ever made when it comes to practical special makeup effects. And we will get to effects. Effects versus effects is a category here. But also, you have to first look at the design. look at the design. Of course, this split head that he's holding in his hand here. The amazing when, clear, he goes through the chest, and then this giant thing kind of bursts out of the body, and the spider walk, and the kind of creature that attacks all of the dogs in the kind of cubby cove. Holy shit. That is some amazingly creative and innovative special makeup effects and art design for these type of creatures. It's amazing. It truly is a thing in and of itself. But then you have H.R. Geiger. And H.R. Geiger was, of course, picked out by the writer, Dan O'Bannon. He said, hey, man, this guy, he comes up with some crazy shit. Why don't we hire H.R. Geiger to do the art design of this movie? And he came up with the legendary, iconic face hugger and the xenomorph. And when they get to the planet, we see this kind of thing that's in the picture here. The engineer, the pilot, who has its chest bursted, and it looks like it's kind of fossilized. I mean, visually, some of the best stuff you've ever seen. And Ridley Scott does a wonderful job at capturing that. I mean, it is tremendously captured, in my humble opinion, and it really, it's very memorable. That's the thing with H.R. Geiger's design. It's just such a memorable looking creature design, whether it be the xenomorph, like I said, the face hugger. I mean, you really cannot go wrong with anything that either one of these two guys did. I mean, it was just some of the most innovative, creative stuff at that time. And I mean, it's quite close. It really is, right? Because you have one that had been around the block, but created all these creepy things that we had never seen, and one that was an up and comer that, thought up all of this stuff in his head, and the stuff to this day from both of them is just so remembered, right? Like, we all remember the chest burster. We all remember the xenomorph. We all remember you gotta be fucking kidding, the spider creature and all that, and the dog, and just wow, like, what a close category. Let's go to the comments before I pick, because I want to hear what you guys have to say. This is one of those where I could really go either way. I think this is really fucking close. Let's see. I think we were here. Gotta go Geiger. Okay, Trenchy's in the house. Hey, what's up, brother? Good brother Trenchy's in the house. What's up, man? I may be biased about H.R. Geiger. Was going to be a part of Jodorowsky's Dune. I would have loved to seen that film, but it's a whole different can of worms. Yes, it is, but you're going Geiger, no problem. Let's see. People saying hi to each other. Let's see. I think the character of Kane is sort of like a sci-fi version of Benedict Arnold, because of course he's the traitor. Sure he is. It's hard to pick. I might have to pick The Thing, but not by much. I love both. Yeah, absolutely. It's close. Alien is creepy with sexuality. The face hugger literally planted a seed inside its host. Yeah, that's the thing with Alien, man. People don't really mention it is the body horror in that film. Like, it's not a body horror movie, but there's body horror in it. Right? Like, just, it really is quite sick. That fucking thing impregnates John Hurt, and then it plays out. But to think of that, the design of it, like, just this creepy thing. And then initially they were going to have it be green, but Geiger and Bannon went, holy shit, it looks creepier with just the normal flesh tone we have on it. Let's keep that. And that's why they kept it. And it bleeds acid, so you can't cut it off. I mean, they thought of everything here. But I think it's really it's close one, no doubt, man. If only it was limited 3 wishes in life or something. Okay, you guys talking about that? I have to give it to Alien. Geiger basically invited a new species. The Thing is amazing too, but maybe is more makeup than design. Yes, I totally could see that too. And The Thing, the scene where Chopper gets his hands chopped off by the dead body stomach, is a reverse of Alien. Sure, it's not the chest burster, the chest eater, I guess. I don't know. I'm going to have to agree with you guys, though. I'm going to go Geiger, too, because of just the world he was able to create here. And Ridley Scott's film, I think, better captured that stuff, I think. Like, it's much more of a polished film, if that makes any more sense. And to have all these creepy art designs of these aliens in it, I don't think you can really argue. I would say H.R. Geiger myself. Let's see. Triple M says, cannot touch the xenomorph design. The entire evolution of the creature is one for the books. I totally agree. Toby Hooper at one point was supposed to direct The Thing. Yeah, no, and I believe he was supposed to direct E.T., the extraterrestrial, at that time as well. He didn't end up doing either. I think he did. What the fuck did he end up doing? Poltergeist, depending on who you ask, right? Invented a new species. No worries, I knew what you meant. I sometimes I read them as they're written, so if I messed it up, I apologize too. But we're gonna go Geiger, and now halfway through, Alien has taken the 3-2 lead. So let's go on. Next category, cinematographer versus cinematographer. Yes, on one hand, we have Derek Van Lint, the director of photography for Alien. On the other, Mr. Dean Cundey for John Carpenter's film. And Dean Cundey, this is, I don't even know how much suspense I could keep you in here. This one is slam dunk for Dean Cundey for me because I just adore Dean Cundey as cinematographer. He's definitely in my top 5 ever for cinematography reasons. And the entire look of this film is just tremendous. I love the look of the thing. I mean, it's amazing. It has that kind of blue hue to it, this cold Arctic setting. And Dean Cundey captures that tremendously. And it's not just this movie that Dean Cundey hits a home run in. I mean, you watch John Carpenter's Halloween, he really does capture the season of fall and the leaves and all these things. And then, again, that film kind of has a blue hue to it as well. But I don't think there's any film that Cundey worked on cinematography wise that is quite as impressive as John Carpenter's The Thing. For me, slam dunk for Cundey. I think it's a slam dunk. However, though, it's not to say that this film isn't wonderfully photographed too, because it is. It's, in my opinion, it's the prettier of the two films. Like if you were to say which film is more eye-popping, more luscious, I would say Alien. I think the design of the set, even though it's not as sparkling clean as a ship from 2001: A Space Odyssey, or even Tantive 4 from Star Wars, it's still a very nice looking spaceship, and it's clean in some ways. And I like the look of this film, and the look of the other alien planet, and some of the use of strobing lights, towards the end when the bomb is about to detonate on the ship, and these kind of strobing, flashing lights. Really, really creepy. And I like how the director of photography, he kind of slowly but surely does a lot of panning shots in this film, Mr. Van Lint. I love the panning shots around the table when they're introducing the characters and stuff like that. I like how he kind of takes it, kind of slowly but surely. And then, of course, a lot of the handheld stuff was Ridley Scott himself. So you got to give Ridley Scott some of the credit here as well. As good as Van Lint was, I think Ridley Scott is just as memorable for the cinematography in this film as well. But for me, I'm going slam dunk Dean Cundey for me, and that's going to knot things up at 3-3. To me, Dean Cundey's best moment as a cinematographer. I love this film. I've been meaning to upgrade to 4K, but people have told me to hold off because I've heard mixed things about that 4K, so I'm kind of I think this Blu-ray looks tremendous. And I know this Shout Factory Blu-ray, they made a point to make it look more blue, which I'm not a big fan of because this movie already does have that kind of blue hue. I don't know if adding more would have, to me, you don't have to add or subtract anything. It's a perfect fucking looking movie when it comes to scope. That's the thing that John Carpenter misses after he stopped collaborating with Dean Cundey, in my opinion. It's that classic Dean Cundey scope. That motherfucker knew how to give you a scope. And if you ever watch Carpenter films, very closely, you'll notice the foregrounds are far more, vivid than the blurry backgrounds. That's because that Dean Cundey liked to use anamorphic wide lens. And these films would really, they'd have a stretched look. So to watch a John Carpenter film when the cinematography is done by Dean Cundey, you got to watch it widescreen presentation in the best possible quality. And to me, The Thing is a home run when it comes to cinematography. So easy one for me. Dean Cundey goes over. We are tied at 3-3, 6 categories in. I know this is getting crazy. We have 4 categories left, though. Who will win? Let's see. Poltergeist or Life Force. That's the route Hooper went. There was an episode of The X-Files that paid homage to the thing called Ice. Gotta love The X-Files. That's something I've never fucking talked about on this show. Dean Cundey, I love the visuals and colors of the film. I would agree with that for sure. Cundey, wait, do you have a top 10 cinematographer list? Because I would watch a stream of that. That's so unique. I've never made one, but I could do it for sure. I'd love to do that. I think that would be a lot of fun to do. But then again, there would be people I'd be biased, right? Like I personally, like Michael Gornick would be my favorite. And people would be like, who the fuck am I? Dawn of the Dead, Martin, I love Michael Gornick. But again, I don't know if stylistically he's the best cinematographer of all time. Like you've got to look at some of the guys that Argento worked with, Luchino Vivoli. Did just the cinematography for Suspiria, Tenebrae, and don't mention Dracula 3D. But it's quite impressive. Let's see. Same here. 2001 is arguably my favorite film ever, but I can honestly say that I'm more in awe of how lived in natural blue collar the environment of the ship. Yeah, I was mentioning that before you got in, or maybe around the time you got in. Sorry, I was holding back a burp here. Oh, hey there, Trenchy people saying hi to each other. Sorry, you're not alone, Grande. I'm still repping that standard blue 2 classic. Man, me too. I don't know. I never upgraded. It's funny. I love the movie, but when I heard that, I was like, you added color to the thing. Like, what? Like, that, leave it alone. Like, I just, that's one of those movies you leave alone, man. I don't know. Gary Kibble still was a good replacement, but Cundy was truly the best cinematographer Carpenter had. Yeah, sure. I don't think there's any argument. Well, yes, he also, that's true. And the golden years, I love Michael Gornick. Hey, the bias is what makes the list unique too. Yeah, that's true. And I'm just saying there probably be some unique. Like, I wouldn't just pick the 10 best or whatever. You know what? That's a good idea. I'll put it down. Maybe a top 10 cinematographer show. That'd be a lot of fun to do. So that's a good idea, Trench. I appreciate that. At the end of the thing from 51, the thing the character says is "Watch the Skies," which was the original title for Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Very cool fun fact there. Alien has such a unique color when the alien are on frame. Yes, and what's interesting is, man, we don't see too much of the alien, and I think that was a smart thing. And now I know that there's a director's cut. You can watch the 2003 director's cut, although many have said that Ridley Scott just went with that to go with that, and that the real director's cut is the theatrical cut. You see less of the xenomorph in the theatrical cut as opposed to the 2003 director's cut. I like seeing less and less because, to me, it's just such a good design, and they don't overshow them. To me, it really is. Yeah, and I see Triple M said it before I could. Less is more, and that for Alien, it's quite the case. Even though we remember all the designs, the less you see of the xenomorph, you really don't see it that much in this movie. It's not until the sequels where it becomes over glorified. We see the xenomorph over and over and over again. So it's able to, I don't know, kind of still capture that dark shadows kind of vibe of this movie. If I did a top 10, I would mention all cinematographers who work with Nicholas Winding Refn. That's a great way to start. The Thing and Xenomorphs, two of the best alien creatures. Totally. Master of Fear, welcome. Ridley Scott used his kids in a scene where they're in the suits discovering all the alien eggs. Did he? I didn't know that. That's very cool. I think this is the first time I've heard someone say that the theatrical cut is better than a director's cut. I personally like the director's cut better of Alien. Personally. It's granted, it's not that much of a difference. Like, if you've watched the two cuts, I could see someone saying, like, I don't notice that much of a difference. But I don't know. Personally, I think you see a little bit less of the alien in the theatrical cut. And I kind of prefer it because of that. So after 6 categories, we're tied at 3 and 3. Let's move on to another tie-breaking category, makeup effects versus makeup effects. Wow. This is really tough, man. This is really tough. And it's funny because right off the, like, my head instantly goes to Thing. It really does. I mean, because of the amount of practicality and the fact that it's more of a makeup effects type of movie than Alien is. But like I said, not to say that Alien doesn't have some good makeup effects. Look at the chest burster busting out of fucking John Hurt. That looks amazing. That is amazing. And to me, like, okay, you could clearly tell that John Hurt's under the table and that it's not a real chest that it's bursting out of. I totally see that, but I mean, like, you cannot tell me that anything effects wise, at least special makeup effects, as much as I like the xenomorph outfit, the costume, all that stuff, can compete with what Rob Bottin was doing in The Thing. It's really a makeup effects glorification to me. Like, there's a few films out there where if you say, "Hey, Grande, makeup effects, go." Like, great films because of their makeup effects. The Thing would be one of the first ones. George Romero's Day of the Dead would be another. Dead Alive from Peter Jackson would be another one. Like movies that are remembered for their special makeup effects. I think you have to go The Thing here. I really do. It's close. It's tough. I think that the effects for the time of 1979, it's funny, there's movies are 3 years apart, but practical makeup effects really took off even into 80, 81, 82, because you had, of course, all these slasher movies coming out in 1981 and all of these great special makeup effects people up and coming. What can we do here? The raft scene in The Burning and the Kevin Bacon scene in Friday the 13th and Dawn of the Dead, and how we can do the reverse machete shot and Savini and Bottin and Baker and all these guys. That's really more of the child of that era than Alien is. Alien, I would say, is more scary when it comes to the stuff like this. But man, effects wise, we're going to have to go The Thing. So for me, special makeup effects, I go slam dunk on The Thing. So The Thing is out to a 4-3 lead. Let's see. I think we were here. Bit off topic. You said Alien, best Scott movie, better than Gladiator, on your opinion? Yes, I would say so. I would say it's really like, and we're gonna get in. I believe the next category might be director versus director. Oops, I dragged my screen away here. Hold on. I think the next category is director versus director. So we're gonna get. I mean, we're gonna get into that. To answer your question in short, yes, but we'll get into director versus director and some of their filmographies in just a second. Let's get back to the chat though. Either way, with director's cut or theatrical cut, you get a masterpiece with Alien. That's true. Absolutely, that is completely true. Yeah, this may be the toughest debate here. Yeah, I would say the hardest so far was Geiger and Bottin. That's hard, man. Those two motherfuckers gave it their all. The Thing, BOD, a body horror. Okay, I got to give it to The Thing. I'm sorry, Xenomorph, you're still amazing though. Exactly. Yeah, it's there's no right or wrong. There was a horror movie that came out in the early 2000s that was similar to The Thing called The Cave. Okay, Alien has great effects, but The Thing takes it for me. Screaming blood scene alone. Yeah, no, I mean, effects wise, it's just an eye stunning movie. It's great. Screaming blood, yeah, and burning the stuff alive, amazing. The fact that the cast was completely unaware of uh, what to take place during the chestburster scene makes the scene even more horrifying, in my opinion. And we're going to get to horror versus horror, so we'll get there. The Thing for sure. That chestburster scene was huge in 1979. People were walking out of the theater, Terrifier 2 style. But I'm going with The Thing. The body horror in The Thing is jaw dropping. I agree with that wholeheartedly, man. Yeah, it's true. It's the thing. The Alien was jaw dropping for the time. People were like, "Holy fucking shit, this is crazy." Right? But none of the death scenes in that film are quite gory or over the top. And even though they initially were, right, there's gorier death scenes like in the film that were shot. Veronica Cartwright's, Parker's, Harry Dean Stanton's in particular was apparently much more gory and drawn out. But like you said before, less is more with that movie, and they decided to cut a lot of the gore out of Alien. And in my opinion, for that particular movie, it worked. There's only a few movies out there. TCM, Alien, those are very two movies where I think cutting the gore out might have worked. But there's a lot of other films where I don't feel that way. So Alien and TCM in a class of their own for sure. Another great movie with practical makeup effects is American Werewolf. Oh, sure. Right around that. Look at that time. 80, 81, 82. Special makeup effects. I mean, they were booming. 79 is right before it took off, but still it was right around the corner from peaking, in my opinion. Blade Runner is my favorite Ridley Scott film, but Alien would be a second. I mean, you can't go wrong with that, of course. For effects, I have to go with The Thing, but choose which one has the better characters, better story. I think that's impossible for me to choose. I love these movies way too much. Absolutely. I see that Aiden's going into the director. So hold on. We're going to do director right after this comment. The Thing was certainly more special effect heavy. Had a lot. Yes, I would say that too. I think it's more of a makeup effects movie. But as we move on to our next category, as The Thing has the 4-3 lead, it is Ridley Scott versus John Carpenter. Holy shit. And now I know you guys were asking me, are you sure that this is your favorite film from both guys, right? Right? And people were asking me, I guess we can go full screen here. People were asking me, you sure? I'm sure. And we can go, Halloween, They Live, Prince of Darkness, Escape from New York, The Fog, fucking Big Trouble in Little China, not Memoirs of an Invisible Man, although for some reason that came to my mind. Assault on Precinct 13, Elvis, Dark Star, Christine. So many fucking great movies that right off the top of my head I could name and tell you how great they are. And I might have missed some. That's John Carpenter. John Carpenter's one of the best to ever fucking do it. I mean, you gotta love John Carpenter. But then again, Ridley Scott, he really wasn't just exclusive to genre horror, because let's face it, this is arguably one of the only horror films he ever did. You fast forward to Prometheus, which is a somewhat prequel of this. You fast forward to an Alien Covenant, which is better left forgotten. But look at this guy, was able to break the whole genre motif, right? Carpenter mostly did sci-fi, horror, stuff like that. I mean, definitely in that boat, right? This, though, Ridley Scott, he went on to do Blade Runner, which is one of the most infamous sci-fi movies. Movies like Black Rain, movies like Gladiator, movies like American Gangster with Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe. I mean, great, great stuff. You got to love Ridley Scott and how vast his filmography really was. So it's really tough for me to make a decision here because I love both guys. So how do you compare their careers, especially when you're comparing, in my opinion, their peak versus their peak? I think there are people that would argue this isn't the best Ridley Scott film. I know there are people that would say you Halloween is better than this film. No way. No way for me. No way for me at all. I think this is both their peaks. And for Ridley Scott, this was just his second film. For John Carpenter, this was like one of his first, if not the first, studio film he did, right? He was big independent, Halloween, Assault on Precinct 13, The Fog. This was the first like big budget studio film. $15 million in 1982 was a decent budget, more than decent budget, right? It's close, but we look at how these two directed these particular movies, right? Ridley Scott went for more of a slow burn horror tone, right? We're introduced to these characters. Nothing really is happening 30 minutes in. Our transmission was intercepted. We're gone to this other planet. We're going to check it out. Nothing really going on. But he's able to capture a mood and atmosphere, even with not much going on. And then as this thing starts to warm up and the slow burn starts burning, this thing gets quite intense and quite chair gripping. And I love Ridley Scott. And I think Ridley Scott really does, it's his magnum opus. I love Alien. And I think it's a great movie for that. But you look at John Carpenter as well. And the movie that I would say is his magnum opus, remaking a film, The Thing from Another World from 1951, that was one of his all-time favorite movies, if not his favorite. And getting a chance to remake that with a big studio budget and doing it the way he wants to do it. This was his most personal film for him. This was his favorite film that he ever directed. He even went on to say it in interviews himself. It's really close. It's as close gets to me. But I'm going to have to go John Carpenter. So John Carpenter wins. It is, to me, by a fucking hair that I give John Carpenter the little bit of leeway here. And you could argue who had a better career. I guess studio-wise, you got to say Ridley Scott had a better career. I mean, he made movies that were fucking big budget and made a lot of money. Granted, not recently. The Last Duelist was a big fucking flop. But again, the guy struck gold more than once. John Carpenter, when it comes to financial wise, I don't think you can argue that Scott had the better career of the two. And he was able to branch out and do other things. Whereas John Carpenter was kind of stuck in the indie scene for a lot of his career, if not almost the whole thing. The Thing not doing that well is the reason we got Christine. He did Christine as a director for hire. He really wasn't heart driven on that particular movie, although I think it's a classic Carpenter. I love Christine, and I love Starman. I love Starman. But again, it's tough. But I'm going to go The Thing here. John Carpenter wins the director versus director battle. Let's get back to the categories, if you will. Oh man, we had a lot. I don't know where the heck we were. Wow. Holy shit. I think we were here because I said Aiden would come back to Aiden's comment. Come on. It's John Carpenter. He has more hits in my opinion, but Ridley Scott, I don't know though. Does John Carpenter have more hits? When you're talking financial, you got to say Ridley Scott had more hits. When you're talking box office, which is at the end of the day, what all these studios care about, you got to say Ridley Scott. But I guess in the grand scheme of things, my argument is who did a better job in their respective film tonight on this movie, because we could argue all day. You probably make the argument that Scott had the better career, even though I like Carpenter better overall career-wise. There's more John Carpenter films I like than Ridley Scott films. But that's not to say that, neither one of them were not two of the best ever, right? So it is quite tough. Let's see. The Thing, okay, I said that one already. I said that one already as well. Hey, Grande, Kubrick, Brian's in the house. What's going on, good brother? Blade Runner is in my top 3 of all time, but I got to go John Carpenter. In all honesty, more consistent. Okay, I would actually agree with that for sure. Memoirs of a Really Invisible Man. Oh man, believe it or not, John Carpenter said that was the worst film he ever made. I would say so too. I would say that. Ghost from Mars, that or Ghost from Mars for me. Blade Runner is one of my favorite movies. I love Blade Runner as well. And a lot of people would probably tell you Ridley Scott's best. I like Black Rain. It's another Ridley Scott film that I fucking love. I like the Alien prequels. I don't know. I don't want to go off on a tangent. I'll fucking start ranting. I don't want that like last week. Did Ridley Scott direct The Martian? Yes, he did. That's true. I fucking, you know what? I forgot about that. Matt Damon, really good. I believe he got nominated for Oscar, Matt Damon, for that. Carpenter, Blade Runner, for me, was his peak. That's a good point. I mean, they can't argue with that. Although, I mean, look, guy made Gladiator after that. Guy made American Gangster 20 years after that. So it's crazy. I like both. I'm more familiar with Carpenter. I'm going to pick him, but Ridley is no slouch. Blade Runner and Thelma and Louise, of course. That's one I didn't mention. Mac, yes, he did direct The Martian. I can't stand that. Okay, Brian doesn't like it. Blade Runner and Halloween for me is both of their peaks, but more people would say Alien for sure. See, I think Blade Runner, more people would say Blade Runner. I actually do. And I know for a fact more people would say Halloween. I've had people come up to me at conventions or whatever and say, oh, Carpenter's best film is Halloween. I love Halloween. It's a great movie, but I would say The Thing is a better movie than Halloween. Like just overall, it's fucking such a great. I don't know, but again, some people probably appreciate the smaller scope of a Halloween, more so. I'm going Scott, but it was tough. All right, so we had first person said Scott. Very fun. I like this. The Martian has those cliche scenes in Times Square and Piccadilly Square with crowds cheering for the 1,000th time. Absolutely. Carpenter versus Scott in a box. Yo, I would pay dumb money. Forget grudge match with De Niro and Stallone. Let's do Carpenter and Scott. Scott with some fucking xenomorph gloves and fucking Carpenter with like thing tentacles. Let's fucking see it, man. There was an episode of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series called The Case of the Killer Pizzas, where the creatures in the episode resembled the xenomorphs. I've not seen that. And funny enough, I'm fucking rocking a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt. So drug-free is the way. Drug-free is the way to be, dudes. Cowabunga. I love that. I'm a huge Ninja Turtle guy. Props, if anyone can guess my favorite turtle. I might have said it before, but anyone guess my favorite turtle, props to you. But yeah, I got to go Carpenter for 3 movies in particular. Halloween, They Live, and The Mouse and Matt. They Live and The Thing would be my favorite John Carpenter movies. Then Halloween, Escape from New York. Fuck, I mean, you'd go off Big Trouble Little China. You'd go off forever, man. It's so hard to just fucking narrow Carpenter's films down because the greats, he really did make them great. And I can't stand how Matt Damon says to Jessica Chastain, I had to listen to your crappy music, which was a bit cringe. Okay, great mention, Trenchy. Thelma and Louise, a great film. Yes, it is. Nate's in the house. Grande, Nate, what's up, man? I liked Hannibal a fair amount. Hannibal, I don't like. That's a Ridley Scott film I don't like. And it may not even be his fault. It's just a sequel that never should have been made, in my opinion. Like, never make a sequel to fucking Silence of the Lambs. I like Red Dragon more than I like Hannibal, but then again, you just neither one of them's even close to Silence of the Lambs. Damn, what a good verses. It is a close one. Got to mention Thelma and Louise, Mac. It's classic, underrated. Both masterpieces. People saying hi to each other. We had a lot of comments. I'm trying to get through these. Ridley Scott's late brother Tony. May he rest in peace, man. That's sad. Rest in peace, Tony Scott. Carpenter only had 2 or 3 hits, right? Yeah, not too many financial hits, right? Like movies that were made so much money, then the studio said, "Hey, we'll give you a 3." It didn't really happen for him, Whereas Scott, it was like classic after classic, and the guy was able to do whatever the fuck he wanted. It's not like Ridley Scott had to keep doing horror movies or keep doing alien movies. He broke out of the typecast and became an artist, as these guys a lot of the time kind of want to be. Black Hawk Down is a good one, which is the first film Roger Ebert liked of his, and I think Siskel too. Really? It took them that fucking long to like a Ridley Scott film? What the hell? What the hell is wrong with them? Dang, now that's the fun of this, talking it out. That's why I like doing a show like this. You fucking sit there, you're like, because you're sitting in a fucking semicircle and say, Alien or The Thing. You answer one or the, but when you really sit down and go round by round, you may just be surprised who your winner is. That's why it's fun to do this, especially in my opinion, if you think it is close. And I think this is as close as it gets. It's close when you're looking at it objectively. Yes, I've heard Chevy Chase is an asshole. I don't know where that came from. Black Rain, Grande, Matt. I love Black Rain, I'm going to say. When I mean hits, not money-wise, more good film. Oh, no, I know. Yes, and that's why I didn't even do financially, because it's not fair. It's really not a fair round. If you're looking just money numbers-wise, Scott, no contest. I mean, John Carpenter literally, they rang the bell and he took a dive. I mean, that's It's not even close after Halloween. That's the thing, no pun intended. Ridley Scott made huge movies like epic films, Gladiator, Blade Runner. But I agree with Aiden. I think Carpenter had made a lot of better movies. I'd agree with that as well. And I think that, it's funny, even with less, right? I think Carpenter made so many movies that felt more. Escape from New York, it's not a giant budgeted picture, but it feels fucking grand and epic. Romero was a guy that did that a lot too. You watch Dawn of the Dead, he made that feel global. Like, fuck, this is really everywhere, even though you really only see a news station, a fucking apartment complex, a couple of shots of fucking Harrisburg, and then the mall. That's all you see in that movie, yet it feels like it's all over the fucking earth. It's wild what Carpenter, Romero, guys like that could do and make a lot out of nothing. And that's what Carpenter and Craven and Romero, these guys, they did it their entire careers. Scott didn't really have to do that. And I guess I shouldn't have said Craven because Craven got money to work with at the time. No, let's not rant about Prometheus and fucking maybe at the end, but I want to finish this, and then maybe later we'll get to a rant. Carpenter by a hair. I would agree with that exactly. Carpenter by a hair. And I like Japan, and I could speak some Japanese. I would like to go there. Oh, I would love that too. I really like Ridley Scott's Hannibal. I know that's controversial, that it's very Giallo inspired. I fucking don't like that movie. I don't know. Maybe I'm due for a rewatch. I've never done. Well, actually, no, I did do Silence of the Lambs. We did do an episode on Silence of the Lambs, but I didn't do the sequels. Believe it or not, of the Silence of the Lambs movies after the original, I quite like Hannibal Rising. Rest in peace to the lead actor. He passed away just a year ago, sadly enough. I would say Red Dragon, Hannibal Rising, then Hannibal. I don't like Hannibal. I don't remember liking that film. Black Hawk Down was really good. Black Hawk Down is one of my favorite war films. Hannibal TV series is a true masterpiece. Grande, Red Dragon was awful. I like Red Dragon more than fucking Hannibal. I can't get through Hannibal. I think Hannibal's overly long, garbage. But again, I don't want to. They Live all-star Keith David, and we love Keith David. Unpopular opinion, I don't like Silence of the Lambs. Wow, that's really unpopular. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yes, it's funny because I don't always lump them together, but I would say Manhunter is fucking great. I love Manhunter. That's Michael Mann, right? Wait, who the fuck directed Manhunter? Am I right? Was it Michael Mann? Someone, you can correct me on that if I'm wrong. Have you ever seen the movie Manhunter? Yes, I have, and I think I actually have a special edition of it somewhere over there. Got Manhunter's great. Hannibal has a special place in my heart, filmed in my hometown of Florence, Italy. Oh, wow, that's cool. Manhunter's my favorite Hannibal Lecter film. I'm not crazy maybe about Silence, sort of either trench. I used to talk to Jonathan Demme when he was alive at the Jacob Burns Film Center, and he showed films with less exposure called Rarely Seen Cinema. Oh, wow, that's cool. You met him? That's really cool. Another guy, rest in peace, man. How many fucking people have died from these movies we're talking about? Yeah, that's a good point. That's one way to put it. Yeah, Brian, it's a good movie. Personally, I'm more of a Carpenter guy myself, although my favorite horror director is Craven. Okay, it's not okay. It's okay not to like Hannibal. Yeah, no, I don't like it. Which is worse, Prometheus or the prequel for The Thing? Wow. The prequel for The Thing is worse. The prequel for The Thing is a fucking piece of shit. Fuck that movie. Jeez. See, we got to get through the fucking album because sometimes I get pissed off. I think it was Michael. It was Michael Mann. Okay, it was Mann. I thought so. Manhunter. I don't know. But let's get to the next category here. If you're not keeping score at home, The Thing has taken a 5-3 lead with 2 categories to go. As we get to category number 9, horror versus horror. Yes, which of these movies is better in the horror department, right? Because we're talking about 2 horror movies. This has got to be a category for me. Which film is more effective in its scares? Which film is more horrific? And again, I think you got an argument for either one here, right? You have great tension in this movie and the great idea of what is the perfect imitation? Who could it be? What could it be? If I was a perfect imitation of myself, how would you know? How would you know either way? The love that Keith David says that, and it's the great question. Would I even know? If I was The Thing, would I even fucking know deep down inside? Who's to say? If I'm a perfect imitation of myself, how would I know? It's a good question. And of course, all the suspense that this film builds and the blood testing scene and you first. I mean, just great stuff as they're all tied to these couches. And I remember the first time watching this, being on the edge, I'm like, wow, like what the fuck is going to happen here? Just really good stuff. as they build tension in this film. And then you get to this movie where we're talking horror versus horror. You have some of the best horror. It's funny. A lot of people go, "Oh, it's sci-fi horror." No, I would say horror sci-fi, man. This is in a lot of ways, this is a slasher film, right? Bunch of people on a ship. They find this thing. It starts to pick them off one by one. In a lot of ways, it's a slasher film on a spaceship, right? But its horror is really more underneath the surface and slow burn, like I was saying before, right? We meet all these characters. We're introduced to them. We get to know them. We get the face hugger. Shit starts hitting the fan, and then one by one, we are introduced to so many great horror sequences. Whether it be Harry Dean Stanton walking underneath this beautiful shot of this water and light glistening on his face. He's kind of just closes his eyes as he's looking for Jonesy the cat. He walks over, and then the alien appears behind him. He turns. There's nothing there. And then the xenomorph appears and kill him. And the scream, oh, 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 and the smart move from Ridley Scott, not to film the murder, but to film the cats looking on like, holy fucking shit. Just cat just going like, yep, that motherfucker ain't coming back. The scene where Tom Skerritt as Dallas is going through the air vents. I'll cut it off. And he's got the fucking, weapon, whatchamacallit, and Ripley and all of them are telling him all the directions to go, and he's looking for the alien. Go this way. No, go this way. They can't decide which way he's supposed to go, and he does not listen to them, and then the alien kind of catches him and kills him, and then his transmission goes blank. I mean, whoa, just crazy. Crazy stuff. Of course, Yaphet Kotto and Veronica Cartwright, as she kind of slowly turns around and sees the xenomorph, and get out of the way, Lambert, get out of the way, telling her to get out of the way. I think horror-wise, and you can make this argument for both of these films, this one in particular, though, is about the horrors of the lack of communication. That's why I love this film. And it's a big theme in this movie, any zombie Romero film, it's the horrors of communication. If we cannot get on the same page in here, we will be eaten, consumed by the alien out there. That is the fucking kind of horror moral that this movie is teaching us. Think about every single instance in this movie where something went wrong, right? The quarantine being broken. Ripley says no, everyone else says yes. And I know everyone says, oh, well, Ian Holm, he was a fucking android. That's why that happened. Tom Skerritt said yes. Veronica Cartwright said yes. I'm sure Yaphet Kotto and Harry Dean Stanton would have said yes. Everyone said yes, let him back into the spaceship, except Ripley. No one wanted to listen to Ripley. Then, after the facehugger is in there, Yaphet Kotto as Parker, he suggests, hey, maybe we should freeze that motherfucker so whatever's inside him doesn't come out and kill us. Nobody else listens to him. Nobody. He suggested twice. Not any other person says, hey, Yaphet Kotto, you got a point, buddy. Let's freeze this motherfucker until we know what's going on. We do a chest scan, but let's freeze him just to make sure. Nope, nobody listens. What if Tom Skerritt had listened to them? Maybe he doesn't go down the wrong part of the air shaft and he is spared. If Veronica Cartwright could have just gotten out of the way of the xenomorph at the end, maybe Yaphet Kotto could have gotten the way she could have gotten on the spaceship and survived with Ripley. It's about the horrors of communication. Nobody in this crew, this team of people of togetherness wanted to listen to each other. Thus, the xenomorph picks them off one by one. It's our failure and horror of communication that really leads the alien to get all of the victims that it gets. And I think that's why Alien works as a horror film for me. And you can make that argument here too. There's a lot of horror of communication here, but it's more about the horrors of who is who versus who. Are you the thing? Are you a human? And the suspense of not knowing that. And that's great. It's really well done here too. But for me, as a horror versus horror, I'm going Alien. I think the horror in this movie is better. I think it's a better horror movie overall. And then you get to this movie, I mean, you have more explosions, action, makeup effects. It's a little bit more meat to the potatoes. But man, this might be the more tender meat of the two, if that makes any sense. So let's get back. I see a ton of comments. All of a sudden, we almost had 20 people in the house. I think we were here. We are all also horror lovers, so Carpenter isn't a surprise winning this one. Besides Alien, Scott really got into historic epics later on. Exactly. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a horror guy, right? Maybe we are all biased. I don't think we're going to have too many historic epic fans watching Grande's Graveyard. It's just a fucking fact of life here. Manhunter sometimes feels like Brian De Palma film to me. Sure, totally. And Michael Mann does a great job. My favorite Michael Mann would be Heat. I like Heat a lot. I have to go with Alien. The Facehugger is one of the most frightening creations in cinema. Absolutely. The Thing, not only a creature, but that feeling of isolation and dread really amp up the scares. Okay, we've got one of so people are kind of mixed on this one. Grande, Alien, Dawn of the Dead, and The Shining scared the shit out of me when I first saw that. Those are three of my favorite movies of all time. Dawn and The Shining be in my fucking top 10. Dawn being number one. Alien is a classy slasher film. It is. It's like a very wonderfully done slasher film. I think Alien is a slower movie film than The Thing. Yes, The Thing is a better pace. The Thing is definitely more up-tempo pace. And even though they're both slow burn in a way, Alien's more slow burn. But when the shit starts going down, I really, really like Alien. The Thing has really good jump scares and suspense, and how all of these big ass dudes ready to tear each other apart at the drop of a pin with no way out, which is scary in and of itself, even without The Thing. Yeah, that's a good point too. So I think this one you can make a big argument for either. There was a Nintendo game I used to play in the 80s called Contra, where they had these army commandos hunting these aliens who resembled the xenomorphs. Very cool. Yes, the flamethrower. I'm sorry, Brian. I had a brain fart. Italian Good Brothers. Matt's in the house. Welcome to my graveyard. Yes, that was an hour and 20 minutes ago. I threw out my old classic, my one-liner here. Mac wants the what? I don't know. I love that in. I know it. I fucking. Oh, geez, I can't think flat. I'm sorry. Another brain fart. I love that both movies also the environment of scary space / extreme low temperature and isolation. Yes. And they're definitely in that vein. They're at their most similar, right? But I'm going to go Alien because I like the characters a little more and I care for them more. So that just makes it a little scarier. Plus the suspense throughout the film, especially in the vents scene. Yeah. And like I said, you see less in Alien, yet it's scarier. Like I said, it's one of two movies that come to mind, this and Texas Chainsaw, that can do that. It's quite something. I love the chestburster scene when the blood hits Veronica Cartwright's face. Ridley's, oh my God, it's incredible. Oh God, that is fucking great. Like I love that scene. It is horrific, man. They're all like, holy shit. It is. The chestburster scene is amazing. Veronica Cartwright was the younger sister of Rod Taylor character in Hitchcock's The Birds when she was a child. There was an episode of Nickelodeon series The Astronauts that played homage to the Alien series. The Thing is definitely a film about paranoia. Yes, it is. It's the horrors of paranoia versus the horrors of the lack of communication. That's the two types of horror handled here. The Thing is more entertaining, but I'd say Alien, to me, I like that story better. Of the Jesus Christ, if we only could have listened to each other, this maybe all could have been avoided, right? I like, to me, that's more horrific because that's everyday life. That's everyday life, right? Whether it be at the workplace, whether it be with friends, family. Why the hell can't we just all work together and get along? That's not real life. It's not reality. And it wasn't the reality in Alien. And thus they all get picked up. Well, almost all of them get picked off. Hit the like button. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. My favorite Man film is either Thief or Man. Both of those are great. Thief, rest in peace, James Caan. I feel like I've said rest in peace on this show so many fucking times. Mecha G0, Dank Digital Films. Welcome, my friend. I don't know. You might be first time ever, man. Welcome. I love historical epics. Braveheart and Gladiator are among my favorites. And in Northman, these movies have great gore too. So a thing that appeals to my horror sensibility. Well, very well put. And I appreciate that you proved me wrong. I do have someone who likes historical epics in the graveyard. So welcome, my friend. Thank you for coming to the show. Alien is my preferred film, by the way. Well, we're going to get there. The next category is our last. People saying, hi, Grande, I'm not totally a horror guy. I like horror films, but I like foreign, independent, silent. I do too. There's none I love more than horror. That's just me. But I like I said, I like all film too, right? Like, and I know you're a big Criterion guy, so you collect everything. Whereas, I wear out the horror Criterions, but I also like, foreign films, independent films, stuff like that as well. I love The Thing. Don't get me wrong. That movie's amazing. But at the end of the day, Alien wins. As I look around the den, have already seen two xenomorph figures staring at me. Oh, really? Okay. So Alien wins for you. We're going to get to my last category and a winner too. So we're getting there. Grande, even though I'm not totally a horror guy, I love your articulateness and just the way you host your channel. God bless, Brian. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I try. I love love doing this. So I'm glad that a bunch of people are in the house every week, and it seems like we're getting more and more. So it's very nice and to see. Seeing Alien a theatrical re-release was a religious experience. Cool story. I saw Alien, cool enough, 35 millimeter. Saw it in the theater on 35 millimeter. It wasn't a re-release. It was just like a one night only screening. It was a double bill with Galaxy of Terror, which of course Robert Englund, Sid Haig. It was like an Alien ripoff, right? A movie where similar to the tone, but it's all these people encountering the things they fear the most. This movie on 35 millimeter was really cool. The whole movie had this sort of red look to it, and it really, I mean, it's a really cool movie to see in a theater. So it was a really cool experience. It is a beautiful film visually. I highly recommend. The 4K of this it's tremendous. It really is. Talk about historical epics, Grande, Barry Lyndon. Oh man, Barry Lyndon's great. I have the Kubrick collection where it's the 8-film Blu-ray book, and it's amazing. I've never done all the Kubrick films. I've got to do an episode where I just run through his filmography. That'd be a really fun show to do. So somewhere down the road. Oh, I do. Barry Lyndon's fantastic. Barry Lyndon is a little long, but man, it's a great film. It's incredible he made Clockwork Orange, Barry Lyndon, then The Shining. Like those 3 films couldn't be any more different when it comes to like tone, pace, all that. But Barry Lyndon's a great film. I tuned in before, Grande. I was the guy defending Rob Zombie and Eli Roth during your sub celebration stream. Oh, okay. Oh, maybe different pro pick. I'm not sure. Has to be different pro pick because I didn't recognize. I really appreciate your positive vibes and obvious passion for film. God bless, man. Thank you so much. I first turned in that stream and subbed after that because you're impressed by your attitude. Dude, God bless. Thank you so much. All you people saying these nice, kind words, man. Thank you so much. You all make it my night. I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. But that being said, though, let's get to the final category, and we're going to declare a winner on this son of a bitch. The final category is, of course, ending versus ending. Holy shit. If you haven't been keeping score at home, right now, The Thing holds a 5-4 lead. So if The Thing wins this category, it wins outright. If Alien wins, we're going to have to do a tiebreaker. And holy shit. Holy shit. I mean, this is tough, right? Really tough. The endings of both these movies are arguably the best parts of both these movies. Of course, The Thing, we're going to warm things up around here. We're not going to make it out alive, but we're going to make sure we take out the Thing with us. I mean, just great. Bum, bum, bum. As they kind of start to lay all these dynamite and stuff, they plan on blowing up the camp. And, you know, John Carpenter, the way he shoots all this stuff, and Kurt Russell, yeah, fuck you too. I mean, just amazing as he's yelling at the Thing, and the whole thing just kind of comes at him, explosion. He kind of lays down towards the side. And, I mean, of course, we get Keith David shows up. Childs. Where were you, Childs? Thought I saw Blair. Went out. See him. Lost him in the storm. Fire's got the temperature up all over camp. Won't last long, though. And Macready's like, neither will we. How will we make it? Maybe we shouldn't. If you're worried about me, we've got any surprises for each other. I don't think we're in much shape to do anything about it. What will we do? Why don't we just wait here for a little while and see what happens? Amazing. I mean, amazing as we kind of pan out from this movie. The score plays. You look at these two guys, and it leaves you with the question, holy shit, is one of them infected? And that's, for years, people have debated Keith David. He's infected. Oh, if you notice that Macready, you can see his breath. We don't see Keith David's breath. A lot of people have argued over the years, was Keith David infected or not? I always thought they were both fine. I never got the idea that Keith David was infected by the Thing. I like to think they were both fine. They were going to wait till morning, and either they're going to freeze to death in this. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't make it. Maybe they should die. Maybe that's how this story ends. They stopped the Thing from freezing back in the snow. It cost them their lives, but they took the Thing down with it. That's more where I like to see this story play out. But it's up to you. John Carpenter makes it up to you. And John Carpenter has even in interviews said that in test screenings for this, people fucking went up to him and said, what happens to the two guys in the snow? And he said, well, it's up to you. And she said, oh, I hate that. And John Carpenter said, but it's up to you. You're supposed to use your imagination now. Did a rescue chopper come and save them? Was Keith David really infected and kill Macready? Was Macready really fucking infected? We never get the answer, and we're not supposed to. Maybe we shouldn't. Don't have to. That's not the point. I like to think they live happily ever after, got picked up, because I like both these characters. I like both these actors. But that's me. I like a happy ending, personally. But maybe after the fade to black, Keith David fucking attacked Kurt Russell, killed his ass, and the thing went to sleep in the snow and the ice until the rescue team found. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck happened, but it's left up to you. It's a great ending either way. But on the other hand, we look at Alien and the amazing final 20 or so minutes of that film, where they hit the fucking self-destruct on the ship, and the ship will explode in T-minus 10 minutes. And Parker and Lambert trying to do one thing, Ripley trying to do another. It kills Parker and Lambert at the same time. It's just a tremendous, holy shit. It's down to just Ripley now. The last 5 minutes as it's counting down, to me, adds to it. It adds to the holy shit. Is Ripley going to get out of this? 10, 9. She's going through, looking, and the flashing lights, just adding to it. And Ripley, like I said, the story she tells with her eyes is tremendous. I mean, amazing stuff. I love Sigourney Weaver's performance without even saying a word. How fucking laser focused. I've got to get to the shuttle and get out of here. She gets there. All seems well. She starts taking her fucking clothes off. I'm all right. All of a sudden, the alien is in the side of the wall, and it's hidden perfectly. It looks like a tube. It kind of puts its hand out. Oh, shit. She has to kind of put the astronaut suit back on and shoots it out into space, shoots it with a, kind of harpoon. And then it looks like it's going to crawl back up through the vent. Bam, hits the fucking fire, and this thing gets blasted out into space, and we kind of hear this beautiful kind of score, Jerry Goldsmith style. But I love the final report. And to me, the last dialogue you hear before you leave the screen, because it's almost the perfect summation of this film. Final report of the commercial starship Nostromo, third officer reporting, the other members of the crew. And I love, to me, the most important part of this is that she says all of their names, right? Like I almost wish every slasher movie did this. And I guess it becomes cliche if every slasher movie did it, but the way she says their names, right? Because in most slasher movies, we remember Corey Feldman and Jimmy and Crispin Glover and Lawrence Monahan and all these people in Friday the 13th films or whatever. We remember them as fun characters, but at the end, we're not really reminded of them and all these people that were killed. We just kind of remember them for the fun and laughs, but we remember meeting these characters around the table, the fucking blue collar nature of all of them. And then for Ripley to kind of just list them off, right? Kane, Lambert, Parker, Brett, Ash, and Captain Dallas are dead. Cargo and ship destroyed. I should reach the frontier in about 6 weeks. With a little luck, the network will pick me up. This is Ellen Ripley, last survivor of the Nostromo, signing off. I mean, it's chills. It's really chills. I mean, again, you can wonder what happens to her. And I know Aliens kind of fills you in what happens, but I mean, the look on her face to me tells the story. It's all of her friends that died because of this thing and because they really didn't listen to her. If they listened to her and didn't let them in, it never would have happened. None of this movie, the whole thing, other than John Hurt, he would have been done, would have been avoided, right? But the android had different plans. Everyone else doesn't want to listen to each other. And I love her face. This is Ellen Ripley, last survivor of the Nostromo, signing off. Just a great finale. So what do you pick? I mean, how do you pick? I mean, you have two perfect endings to me when it comes to these movies. Just perfect. Perfect, perfect. Who wins the category? Who wins the final category of this? I'm going to have to go with Alien. Alien ties it up at 5 and 5. Holy fucking shit. We have a tie. 5 and 5. We've gone 10 rounds. And right now, my judge scorecard, it reads a draw. It reads a fucking draw. Who's the winner? I'm going to get the comments and I'm going to declare my winner. So let's get back to comments here, because this is the last category. Then we're going to wrap this, I promise. I think we were here. Barry Lyndon, fancy a duel, waves my tiny one bullet pistol. Oh man, dude, Barry Lyndon's great. It's Kubrick. I would agree. Kubrick's the goat. The Thing, 100%. That ending really works for me. Okay, we got a Thing. I'd say the Thing has this one because of the conversation it invites over. Who is the Thing? Yes, it is. It's really the perfect way to end this movie. With we don't know. Like to me, if it had ended where Keith David attacked him, and even if Macready killed him, I think that would have been weak. Like leave me wondering. Wow, let me leave the theater going. Oh man, I hope Keith David wasn't. Thought I saw Blair. Yeah, I don't fucking know. I think they couldn't have ended it better. Personally, I love the Thing's ending as well. Thing and Ravenous are winter-driven horror films where I could feel the environment and the characters are in. Ravenous is great, little cannibalism there. Personally, say Macready. The Thing because one of them has to be next or last. Okay. So Zetro's going tragic ending there. Grande, you know every word. I fell asleep while watching The Thing a while back, but I was just tired, not because I didn't want to watch it. No, these movies are religion to me. Some people have the Bible. I have The Thing and Alien. I'll never forget being on a date and at the alien of the alien when you think it's dead but shows up. My date jumped so hard her whole glass of wine ended up on my lap. Oh my god, it's amazing. That's an amazing memory, man. I remember we saw Friday 13th. It was a bunch of us. We went to see Friday 13th in the theaters, 35 millimeter. And I went with a bunch of people who had either never seen it or had not seen it in a while. And of course, the Jason jumping out of the water, everyone fucking jumped that we were with. It was an amazing moment, just kind of watching their reactions as opposed to I knew it was coming. John Carpenter is the king of ambiguous endings. Even his lesser films have endings that will have fun with your imagination. And I quite like that usually. I know Mateo was asking me in a past stream, what do I like? A more concrete or up to your interpretation? It really depends, right? But I think this is a particular one where I really like it. Yes, the end of the Thing is just great. How to leave it to the viewer to figure it out. I agree. I don't know if I can pick between endings. The Thing's ending sticks with you and is ominous. Well, Alien with Ripley and the cat surviving and sending the alien to space is satisfying and badass. It's more of a happy, you get the idea she's going to be okay. And Aliens answers that. She's okay. She's in the next movie, whatever. I think she goes into fucking hybrid. Aliens explained that she was in sleep for a while. So it didn't go exactly how she planned, but she's in the next movie. So we get their answer. We never to this day have got 40 years later. We don't know what happened to the two men in the snow. Ripley is sweating with her hands at the end of the film, and it just scares the crap out of you. Yeah, no, her face is just, it tells a story. I guess if I had to pick The Thing because it sticks with you more, but it's so hard, man. It is close. Like the strobe light and the alien almost seeing her. Absolutely. It's great. It's so well shot. Oh, man, yes, I love that. I have it on the PS4. Fun fact, right now, it's $7.99 with all the DLC packs included, including the original DLC with the original cast. Like it's Parker, Lambert, Ash, all of them. And its video game version. Alien Isolation is a wonderful video game. I'm glad you brought that up. I should make it to the blank. Can't remember all the lines. Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's religion. Good in between story before Aliens. Yeah, it is. It definitely is. This is Ripley signing off. Last Survivor in the Nostromo. That was a great game. Absolutely. Amazing stuff. Grande, you probably have exact quotes. I'm definitely close. Definitely. I don't know if I'm exact, but I'm close. Let's see. One of the scariest games. Then there would be a movie. Yeah, I agree. Mecha's up there. Makes you really feel the Xeno. I'd go Alien. Grande, you got to get that Scream Factory edition of The Thing. Okay, so we had to really kick ass debate tonight, Grande. Love what you do. Great stuff. Thank you so much. This is the finale. What do I pick? We are at a tie. We got to pick one. Who do I pick? Anyone? Anyone have a guess of which one I'm going to pick? I don't know. Drum roll. Drum roll. Alien. I'm going to go Alien. It's close. To me, it's literally a 1A, 1B type of thing. But I'm going to lean Alien personally. I've watched it a little bit more. I think the horror elements are a little bit better here. I think the cast, like I said, the five that I put over, cast, art design, stuff like that. I just think it's a really wonderful film and an all-time classic. But again, you can't go wrong with this movie either. But with that said, the winner to me of the 10-round fight, it was a draw. It went to the 11th and final round where I kind of just had to go with personal pick here. I'm going to go Alien. Love this movie. The winner for me in this heavyweight bout of two awesome classic all-time movies. Alien, and the winner goes to masterpiece Alien. You're probably gonna pick Alien. Yep. I like to think. Thanks so many people. I don't know where to start. Yeah, yeah. No, for real. We need Ridley Scott and Sigourney Weaver to make a special guest appearance. But everyone, this was a very fun show. I'd like to do more of these. I'll tell you what. If you guys have suggestions, and I think that they're close enough, I could totally down the road do another versus episode, right? Because we did Universal Soldier versus Demolition Man. That was action versus action. Here we did sci-fi horror versus sci-fi horror. If people have suggestions down the road, let me know. If I think it's close enough, we'll do it for sure. Because this was a lot of fun and it was really close to me. Like I said, though, if it's not that close, if I don't think so, maybe we'll skip it for me personally, but I will hear suggestions till you guys turn blue in the face. Sorry, AJ. For Grande, better Alien or Aliens? For me, Alien easily. I love Aliens, but I like Alien better. And it's the same thing with another, it's funny, it involves James Cameron, Terminator and Terminator 2. I always like Terminator 1 better because it's more of a horror film. Terminator 2 becomes more action, where same thing with Aliens. Aliens is more action, sci-fi, horror, where Alien is horror, sci-fi. I like Alien, the slow burn pace, the fucking blue collar cast, the design, just everything. You just remember that stuff, man. It's really well done. I'm unfollowing you. Don't unfollow me. Don't do it, buddy. Don't do it. You said Alien for quite a few too, Zitro. I don't think it was that much of a slam dunk for the thing. Same here. Alien steals the cake for me. Yeah, it's a Xenomorph fucking face hugger cake, a chest bursting cake. Pretty in Pink versus I Spit on Your Grave. Wow. Wow. That's a really good, female versus female movie. Coming of age or coming of chopping off dicks in bathtubs. Seven versus Silence of the Lambs. That's a good one. That's a very good one. Fincher versus Demi, man. We could do that. We need answers. We need answers. Seven versus Cure, another good one. School of Rock versus Slave of the Cannibal God. Let's go. Oh my God, that's a random one. Ursula Andress versus Jack Black. Stacy Keach versus Jack Black. I don't know. Oh man, I would have to go with School of Rock. Who fuck directed that? Was that Umberto Lenzi who did Mountain of the Cannibal God? I think it's Umberto Lenzi. So it'd be Oh no, it was Sergio Martino. I think it was Sergio Martino that did fucking Mountain of the Cannibal God. So Sergio Martino versus fucking David Linklater. That's something I never thought I'd fucking see. Let's give it to Ursula Andress's Beautiful Yits. Dread 2012 versus the Raid Redemption. That one I would say is not close. I would say Raid Redemption for me. I love the fucking Raid Redemption. Yeah, I like Alien better than Aliens, even though I like Aliens. Same. Barbarian versus Fresh. Didn't watch Barbarian. Never watched it. Fresh, I love. That's my favorite of the year, but Barbarian got a lot of love. So, Jack, I don't know. Yep. Okay. Fight Club versus Clockwork Orange. Clockwork Orange for sure. Clockwork Orange, I got it right there as the mini poster with my coat rack or my hat rack. Clockwork Orange for me, easy. Jack Black has bigger yets. Sure he does. LMAO, yeah, for sure. I mean, you gotta love it. I gotta love it. But everybody, thank you so much. This is another fun, wonderful episode of Grande's Graveyard. I thank you all so much. If you catch the replay, comment down below. Let me know which one of these two that you like. And like I said, if you have more suggestions for stuff down the road, comment down below. Let me know. But everyone have a safe, happy, wonderful weekend. Stay safe, and we will catch you next week on Grande's Graveyard. We got one of two things. We have a special guest planned, but if he can't make it, I'm going to have to do something else. So right now, it's going to be Cube retrospective, a little Canadian horror, Mateo. So I know Mateo's repping CA now. We're going to do Vincenzo Denali's Cube and the sequels, and now it's Korean reboot. There's a Cube Korean reboot. So that's the plan, but that's only if he can make it. If not, I got something else up my sleeve. So we will see. But everyone else, too sweet peace, and we will catch you next time only on The Graveyard. Good night, everybody.